Hey up my dog YouTube, welcome back to another video with episode 3 of A History of Your Club. We're going up north in today's episode to Lancashire with the Blackburn Rovers, or the Wild Rovers as their song goes. They have one of the most interesting histories, I think, from lower down the league tables to forming the league, for Premier League triumph, all sorts of things. So let's get straight into it, and with the club being founded following a meeting at the Ledger Blackburn on the 5th of November 1875. The meeting was organised by two young men, namely John Lewis and Arthur Constantine, who were two old boys of Shrewsbury School. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the possibility of forming a football club to play under association rules. The first match played by Blackburn Rovers took place in Church, a place in Lancashire, on the 18th of December 1875, and was actually a 1-1 draw. On the 28th of September 1878, Blackburn Rovers became one of 23 clubs to form the Lancashire Football Association. On the 1st of November 1879, they played in the FA Cup for the first time, beating the Tyne Association Football Club 5-1. Rovers were eventually put out of the competition in the third round after suffering a heavy 6-0 defeat by Nottingham Forest. On the 25th of May 1882, the club went through to the final of the FA Cup, and they won it again. Oh no, they didn't win it. They lost it against Old Etonians. They were the first provincial team, though, to reach the final, despite losing 1-0. Rovers finally won the FA Cup on the 29th of March 1884 with a 2-1 victory over the Scottish team, as yes, they did have Scottish teams back in the day, Queen's Park. The same teams played in the FA Cup final again the next season, with Blackburn Rovers again emerging victorious with a 2-0 score. Rovers repeated this success yet again the next season, winning the final replay 2-0 against West Bromwich Albion. For this 3 in a row of FA Cup victories, the club was awarded a specially commissioned Silver Shield, and I'm pretty certain they're one of the only club to have won. There may be another one, but I'm pretty certain they're the only club to have done that. The 1885-86 season was the birth of a legal professional footballer, and Blackburn Rovers spent £615 on player wages for the season. Blackburn Rovers were founding members of a football league in 1888. And Blackburn Rovers again reached the FA Cup final on the 29th of March 1890 at the Kennington Oval. The club claimed the trophy for the 4th time by beating Sheffield Wednesday a hefty 6-1, with left forward William Townley scoring 3 goals and becoming the first player to achieve a hat-trick in the FA Cup final. The 1890-91 season, Blackburn Rovers win the FA Cup for a 5th time against Notts County with a 3-1 victory. During the 1897-98 season, the club stayed in the First Division only as the result of a decision to increase the number of teams from 16 to 18. The season did, however, mark the beginning of Bob Crompton's 45-year association with the club, both as a player and eventually as an FA Cup winning manager. But Blackburn Rovers continued to struggle during the early years of the 20th century, but results began a gradual improvement and major renovations were made to Ewood Park. In 1905, the Darwin end was covered at a cost of £1,680, and the new Nuttall stand was opened on New Year's Day 1907. During the first 3 decades of the 20th century, Blackburn Rovers were still considered a top side in English football. They were First Division champions in 1911-12 season and the 1913-14 season, and they were FA Cup winners in 1927-28 season with a 3-1 victory against Huddersfield Town. But the FA Cup win was their last major trophy for nearly 70 years. Blackburn Rovers maintained a respectable mid-table position in the First Division until they were finally relegated, along with Aston Villa, from the top flight. This was for the first time since the foundation of the league, and they were relegated in the 1935-36 season. When the league resumed after the war, Blackburn Rovers were relegated in their second season of the 1947-48 season. At this time, the tradition of burying a coffin began. The club remained in the second division for the following 10 years. After promotion in 1958, they again returned to the mid-table position they had occupied in the early part of the century. During this time, they seldom made a serious challenge for a major trophy, although they did reach the 1960 FA Cup final when managed by the Scot Dally Duncan. Rovers lost this game 3-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers after playing most of the game with only 10 men on the field, following an injury to Dave Whelan, who broke a leg. That's probably where the phrase break a leg. But yeah, I don't think we can make changes back in the days. That's why we were down to 10 men. There were brief hopes of return to the glory in the 1963-64 season when a remarkable 8-2 away win over West Ham United in East London on Boxing Day took them to the top of the league. However, their lead of the league was short-lived and they finished the season some way down the table as the title was seized by the Liverpool side, who would record a further 12 league titles over the next 26 years. While Blackburn's fortunes took a very different route. They were relegated from the First Division in 1966 and began a 26-year exile from the top division. During the 1970s, Blackburn Rovers bounced between the second and the third divisions, winning the third division title in 1975. They never mounted a challenge for promotion to the first division, despite the efforts of successive managers to put the club back on track, and they fell back into the third division in 1979. They went up as runners-up in the third division in 1980, and save for one season in League One in 2017-18, they've remained in the upper two tiers of the English League ever since. A second successive promotion was nearly achieved the following year, but the club missed out on goal difference, and promotion-winning manager Howard Kendall moved to Everton that summer. Kendall's successor, Bobby Saxton, only managed mid-table finishes for the next 3 seasons. Then nearly achieved promotion in the 1984-85 season, but a poor finish the following year, which was just one place above the relegation zone, followed by an abysmal start to the 1986-87 season, which cost Saxton ultimately his job. Saxton was replaced by Don McKay, who steered them to a decent finish that season and also victory in the Full Members Cup. In the following 3 seasons, McKay re-established Rovers as promotion contenders, but they fell just short of promotion each time. The closest they came was in the 1988-89 season, where they reached the second division playoff final in its last season of a home-away 2-legged format. But they lost to Crystal Palace. A defeat in the 1989-90 second division playoff semi-finals brought more frustration to Ewood Park, but the following season saw the club taken over by local steelworks owner and lifelong supporter Jack Walker, who lived from 1929 to 2000. Following the Walker takeover, Rovers finished 19th in the second division at the end of the 1990-91 season, but the new owner had made millions of pounds available to spend on new players and appointed Kenny Dalglish as manager in October 1991. Rovers secured promotion to the new FA Premier League at the end of the 1991-92 season as playoff winners, ending 26 years outside the top flight. Rovers made headlines in the summer of 1992 by paying an English record fee of £3.5 million for the 22-year-old Southampton and England centre-forward Alan Shearer. After finishing 4th in the 1992-93 season and runners-up in 1993-94 season, they went on to win the Premier League title in 1994-95 season, which I believe were one of only 6 teams to have done so. The title chase went down to the last game of the season, but despite Rovers losing to Liverpool, they edged out rivals Manchester United to win the championship. Kenny Dalglish moved upstairs to the position of director of football at the end of the Premier League winning season and handed over the reins to his assistant Ray Harford. Blackburn Rovers made a poor start to the 1995-96 season and found themselves in the bottom half of most of the first half of the season. Rovers also struggled in the Champions League and finished bottom of their group with just 4 points. A terrible start to the 1996-97 Premier League campaign saw Harford resign in late October, with the club bottom of the division, having failed to win any of their first 10 games. Relegation looked a real possibility, just 2 seasons after winning the league. After an abortive attempt to bring Svein-Goran Eriksson as manager, long-serving coach Tony Parks took over as manager for the rest of the campaign, narrowly steering the side to survival. That summer, the manager's job was taken by Roy Hodgson, who joined the club from Inter Milan. The UEFA Cup football was secured with a 6th place finish. However, Rovers made a poor start to the 1998-99 campaign, and Hodgson was sacked in December, less than an hour after a 2-0 home defeat by bottom side Southampton, a result that locked Rovers in the relegation zone. He was replaced as manager by Brian Kidd. However, Kidd failed to save Rovers from relegation. In 1999-2000 season, Rovers began the season as promotion favourites, but with the club hovering just above the Division 1 relegation zone, Brian Kidd was sacked in October and replaced in March by Graham Souness. Jack Walker died just after the start of the 2000-2001 season. Our club dedicated its promotion challenge in memory of their benefactor. Fittingly, they returned to the Premier League after a much improved season, finishing 2nd behind Fulham, which would seem as absolute ridiculous considering where they were at the start. In 2001-2, the record signing of Andy Cole was brought for £8 million, and Rovers won their first ever League Cup by beating Tottenham Hotspur 2-1 at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. Cole scored the winner in the 69th minute. The following season, Rovers finished 6th to qualify for UEFA Cup for the 2nd season running. Souness left just after the start of the 2004-05 season to take charge of Newcastle, and he was replaced by Welsh national coach Mark Hughes. Hughes secured Rovers Premier League survival for the 2004-05 season, as well as an FA Cup semi-final against Arsenal. With Rovers finishing 15th once again, he led the team to the 6th the following season and Rovers' 3rd European qualification in 5 years. Rovers reached the semi-final of the 2006-07 FA Cup, but lost to Chelsea in extra time, and finished that season the season's league in 10th, qualifying them for the Intertoto Cup, which led to a short run in the 2007-08 UEFA Cup. In May 2008, Mark Hughes left Blackburn Rovers for the vacancy at Manchester City. He was replaced by Paul Ince. Ince's first job was to persuade some of the want-away players to stay, with Archie Knox coming in as his assistant. Ince's time in charge started well, but following a run of 11 games without a win, he was sacked in December 2008. Sam Allardyce was appointed as Ince's replacement, and in the 2009-10 season, he led the team to a 10th place finish and a League Cup semi-final. In November 2010, the Indian company, the H Group, brought Blackburn Rovers under the name of Venky's London Limited for £23 million. The new owners immediately sacked manager Sam Allardyce and replaced him with first-team coach Steve Keane. Initially on a temporary basis, but by January 2011, he had been awarded a full-time contract until June 2013. Keane's appointment was shrouded in a great deal of controversy since his agent, Jerome Anderson, had earlier played a major role in advising Venky's during the takeover of the club in the preceding months. In December 2011, Blackburn Rovers posted an annual pre-tax loss of £18.6 million for the year ending the 30th of June 2011. Despite this, the owners of Blackburn Rovers provided assurances of the continued funding of the club, even if they were relegated. On the 7th of May 2012, the club was relegated to the Championship after being defeated at home by Wigan Athletic in the penultimate game of the season, ending 11 years in the Premier League. At the start of the 2012-13 season, Keane was given a chance by the owners to win promotion and kept his job as the manager. Ultimately, though, pressure from supporters, who had been calling for the manager's removal for months, resulted in his resignation as manager on the 29th of September 2012. On the 7th of May 2017, 5 years to the day after dropping out of the Premier League, the club was relegated again to League One. On the 24th of April 2018, they were promoted back to the second tier with a 1-0 win at Doncaster Rovers. In the 2018-19 season, Rovers finished 15th in the Championship, and last season in the 2019-20 season, the club finished 11th in the division. So I hope you enjoyed that video very much. Subscribe for a bit of regular footballing content. We do things like this all the time about history and club. Actually, next week we're doing the history of the Bournemouth's history. So please do stick around. And we're also doing the best footballers in South America, if that's more to your interest. So see you around.